I'm floating around in space,
Mm-hmm.
and I see this kind of yellowish planet below me.
Mm-hmm. Same place you just were?
Exactly.
Uh-huh. What kind of hue of yellow does it have?
It's kind of sand-like.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think there's any other color, no water, no atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. So quite different from Earth.
Yeah, that's what I see.
Uh-huh, good. What else do you notice as you look at it?
It doesn't seem to be very big.
Mm-hmm.
It's rather, I would say, smallish. And I don't seem to notice any life on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be like arid land.
Mm-hmm. Very dry there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Any other information intuitively coming to you as a knowing about this place? You might see it as words, you might just get it in your mind.
I think my sense is that it was important for me to do some work there.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably checking something,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it's not my sort of a home place.
Okay, so you were checking it out.
Exactly.
Tap into that. You can move forward or backward in time if you want to leave that scene behind and find out why you went there in the first place. You're there now. What comes to you intuitively? What do you see?
It seems that I came from somewhere quite far away. It's almost like an observance mission.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing I have to do rather than somehow collecting information.
Oh, good. How do you collect that information? Do you have a sense of that?
I think my sense is that it's just visual,
Mm-hmm.
checking somehow like everything is normal.
Uh-huh. And was it normal when you arrived?
Yes, my sense is that everything was as it was supposed to be.
Good. What else is coming through about your mission and why you're traveling there?
My sense is that I have to bring that information back somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure yet how that is going to happen.
Okay.
Because I'm still floating in the space. Beneath, I see the planet.
Good. Go ahead and move forward or backward in time to when you're collecting the information you came to collect. You're there now. Let me know how you're doing that.
I think if I go back in time, I see that I've been sent on that mission from a ship.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need a ship to move around.
Mm-hmm.
So I can move incredibly fast, and that's the way I float around in space.
Good.
That's how I also landed on that planet.
Mm-hmm. So you don't need any sort of vessel.
No.
Are you able to see what form you're in or intuit what form you use to travel?
It seems it's just, there's no form really.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a spirit.
Oh, good. Okay. And what about the ship? Are you able to see that, or what do you currently see around you?
If I go back to the ship,
Mm-hmm.
it feels like there are some beings who kind of assign the tasks.
Mm-hmm. Are you able to see them, or do you just sense them? How do you experience them?
I do see them. Actually, there's one particular being who seems to be responsible.
Okay.
And I was particularly assigned to that planet. Yeah, the communication is pretty much, I don't think that there is communication, or if it is, then it's telepathic.
Uh-huh. And how do you get your assignment?
I just see that it's like, I know it almost.
So suddenly you have an intuitive knowing of what you're to do?
Exactly.
Good. And do you have a little more detail on either the reason for that assignment or how you're going to collect the data and what you'll do with it?
My sense is that it's important for harmony of the space, that this planet needs to be checked, but I don't see what could possibly go wrong with it.
Okay, I see. Are you able to get any more information from this being?
Probably not.
Okay. What does the being look or feel like? What kind of sensation do you get looking at it?
It's a humanoid type. He seems to be somebody in charge and very wise.
How can you tell?
I have a feeling that he has, I guess I feel him like a male, that he has many other beings like me to command, and he's doing a great job in sending them out and collecting back the information.
So it sounds like you almost have a reverence for him.
Indeed.
Good. What else comes through? What do you notice about him?
He looks grayish and tall. He doesn't seem to operate any machinery or anything. I get a sense that, it's kind of the ship is standby and perhaps needs to be there so that beings like me could connect with it.
So it's almost docked somewhere that you can access?
Exactly.
Good. Do you see any, maybe if you can look into his eyes, does he have eyes?
Yes, he does.
See if any information comes through as you tap into his energy signature through his eyes.
There's nothing particular that comes through. It seems to be a bit remote to a being like me, so there's no real sensation or further communication.
I see. So you receive this mission from this reverent being, and then you complete the mission.
Exactly.
What else calls your attention where you are?
It's just vast space around.
Are you outside the ship now?
Yes, I can move easily out and in.
Really describe the ship to me. What do you notice about it? How does it feel being there?
Feels a lot like very light. A lot of I couldn't call them windows, but there's almost like there's only very light shape to it. Yeah, it's almost like a shape without any structure. Some parts of it seem to be very translucent, but not all of it, because I can see that the being I mentioned is kind of surrounded by a physical part of the ship.
Okay, and what is that physical part of the ship?
It's almost like a throne or seat.
Is he sitting in that seat right now, or is he standing, doing something else?
Yes, he's sitting on that.
How does he interact with that seat? Is it big, small? Does it surround him?
It's just like fit for that being. There's nothing particular worth mentioning about it, I think.
What else do you see in terms of physical structure? Anything that catches your attention?
Yeah, it's kind of funny that the part of the ship where I am on is completely translucent. So it's like the ship only had a nose, and the rest of it is sort of like translucent, as I said.
What else do you notice around you? What calls your attention?
I see lots of stars. Nothing stands out. No other planets. No, like sun, which would shine closer than the rest of the stars. It's vast space.
Good. Does anything else feel important about this area or this day?
Not really.
Okay, let's leave that scene behind and move either forward or backward in time in that lifetime to a day that you consider to be important when something's happening. You've moved there now. What's happening on this important day? What do you see, feel, or experience?
I feel like there's some sort of a gathering on another, I don't know if it's a planet or place in space, almost like a city, but it's not necessarily that I feel like it's a city, but it's more like there are a lot of other beings like myself in there, so it's sort of concentration of energy of those beings.
How does it feel to be amongst them?
It feels good. It feels like it's part of the family.
Okay, is this your family?
It's not like a family, we know it, but I feel like we are of a same origin or same energy. I can sense the energy field of others.
Okay, so you can feel the other beings around you.
Exactly.
Do you feel into any that you recognize or that have any information for you?
I think there's some sort of a important being. The reason why we are all gathered there is that there is something happening. It hasn't started yet, so I think there's a sense of excitement, if like.
And you feel that excitement too?
Yeah, I think I do.
Good. What else do you notice? You can accelerate time a little bit to when the important occasion has occurred, and just tell me about it.
It's kind of funny. So the message I get is that we're being thanked for kind of saving the universe again, and that all of us have had their part to play in it. So it seems like it's gathering of taking stock of this sort of update or situation.
And how do you receive that information? How do you feel when you do?
I think it's telepathic.
And everybody receives it at the same time, all the beings?
Yeah, it seems so.
And what happens as you get that information?
I think there's some sense of proudness, being proud. It also feels that it's very soon time to go out again.
Get back to work kind of thing?
Indeed. So it doesn't seem like it's home or anything like that, a place to stay for longer.
Okay. Is any other information coming through about the place or the being that's giving this information to all of you?
No, it seems quite abstract. Nobody seems to have form, so it's still more like energy bodies.
Okay, including that important being you were sensing?
Exactly.
Good.
I don't see any. There is some physical aspect to the place itself.
Tell me about it.
It's sort of a grayish kind of area where, I mean, maybe it's, as I said, maybe it's a city, but then again, there are no structures, so it can even be also sort of a natural place.
Okay. Do you see some sort of landscape, or is it, you said it's more abstract?
Yeah, it's a bit of a landscape I can identify. So it feels like, it's another planet perhaps, because I can see a space around it, like stars and the sky, the night sky. But there's nothing particular about this place other than that.
Does anything else important happen on this day?
No, feels like our mission was well accomplished, so time to move on.
Good. And when the being said again, you saved it again, do you have a sense of what that means? Is any information coming through on that?
It seems to be that our task is similar for us as the energy beings. And it relates to this observation job that I did. And it seems like if something can go wrong, then before it happens, it needs to be brought to the attention of that being on the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And he and perhaps some others would be in the position to do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why this observation mission is so important.
Good. And you can move so fast, so it sounds like you're going out to see if you detect any anomalies to bring that information back.
Exactly.
Is there anything more to the mission that you can pick up on?
Not really.
Okay. Well, let's leave that day behind and move forward or backward to another important day in that lifetime. You're there now. What important things are happening? What do you notice?
It's kind of interesting that I'm now back in the same place that I started from.
Uh-huh.
So it almost seems like it's a kind of a cycle that repeats itself.
Mm-hmm. And what are you doing there this time?
Same thing, observing. Yeah, there's nothing different that I can see or perceive.
Are you in the same part of that planet or in a different area this time?
It looks the same part.
Okay. Really tap into yourself and try to discern how you collect information.
I'm moving around like I said, sort of floating. I'm detecting if there are any changes to the surface.
Mm-hmm. And are you very close to the surface as you do that, or quite removed from it?
Yeah, I'm very close. It's like difficult to say what's the distance, but like if it was only a few meters away.
Okay. And what important event happens on this day?
I have a sense that something is off this time.
How do you detect that?
It feels like there are some rocks or some elements that don't fit this planet.
Tell me about them.
They look different in color, while the rest is kind of brownish. They are grayish or gray.
Mm-hmm. Do they have any shape or anything, any other elements to them that are unusual?
Yeah, they seem to be sort of maybe like containers, half buried under the surface, but I can say that they don't belong there naturally.
Mm-hmm. So there's been a change.
Exactly.
What do you do next?
I see that I'm communicating with a being on the ship.
The one from before, the tall one?
Indeed.
And how do you communicate?
I'm instantly at the ship.
Okay.
So that's how I can bring it to his attention.
And how do you do that? Talk me through it. What do you report back to this being?
I'm sort of giving the message that I've found something on that planet that doesn't belong there. It seems to trigger the need from his part to communicate this information to somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And how does he do that?
I can't really see it well because he's with his back to me, but it seems like there's some sort of a communication device in the nose of that ship.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next?
Seems that there's a need to go and investigate that phenomenon more closely, and the being in that ship is doing it. So he has taken the ship to my planet, and I can observe that.
Mm-hmm. Are you still on the ship with him?
Yes.
And what happens then when you arrive?
I think it's not discussion, but so the question is that whether these things should be taken away from there or should they be left there.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to represent something from a different civilization.
Mm-hmm. And is that the kind of anomaly that being was looking for?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the whole point of my job.
Okay. What happens next?
I sense that the ship where I'm an observer on has taken off to the same planet where we had our gathering, and there's some sort of council meeting of beings who have to decide what to do next.
Tell me about those beings or whatever's coming through in the meeting.
They seem to be like light beings, with no specific form, but as lights. There are maybe 20 of them.
In comparison to you, are they large? Are they small? How do you process them?
They seem to be like kind of like flashes of light, or like lights constantly changing shape. And that seemed to be the way the communication takes place.
Through these flashes of frequency, or
something like that. But I can't follow the content of the conversation. So maybe that's sort of off limit to me.
Okay.
And also to the being that was flying the ship.
Okay, so they're having a discussion amongst themselves, but it's private?
Exactly.
Okay.
So we just have to wait and see.
Can you communicate with that gray being as you wait?
He seems to be not available.
Okay.
So maybe that's something to do with, no need for communication other than work.
Got it. What else do you notice around you? What happens next as they decide?
I think it's still, like, what I can see still is the conversation going on. It seems to me that the options are whether to deploy us back to the planet and bring away or actually destroy that stuff which was there and was not supposed to be there. But it seems to be a job which needs careful handling, not to destroy the planet.
And is that job to be carried out by you?
No, I think that's not for me anymore. But I think that gray being is still attentive, and that maybe it's something for him. But I don't see any other beings around besides the council and the two of us.
You can again accelerate time to when a decision has been reached by the council. Just tell me what happens next.
It seems that the decision was to destroy the stuff, and it can be executed from the space. So I see a big explosion happening on the planet. But the planet itself remains there. So I guess that's a good thing.
So they carefully did it.
Indeed.
And how do you feel about that? What do you observe?
I see or sense a pile of rock as a result of the explosion getting to the space. But it seems that the job was well done, and we can now move to another place.
And what happens next?
Seems that I've been assigned to a different place by the same gray guy. This time to a different kind of planet, which looks more similar to Earth.
What makes it look similar to Earth? Really describe it.
I see some forest, some water, like a river, like a canyon maybe. So it's looks very much like the Earth.
But it doesn't seem like the Earth to you, or?
No, it does. So it could be the Earth.
What else do you notice about it?
It's very tranquil. It's daytime. I see the blue sky above. I don't see anybody. It's just wild nature.
Are you still in your same form as before?
Yeah, I seem to be, because I can freely roam around.
And what do you notice as you do?
I see a lot of similarities to the planet that I came from. The yellow planet. It's also like a canyon where the river runs through, but also a lot of rock. So it seems that my mission is still the same, and maybe it's about this particular area why that needs to be checked. Yeah, I see this one particular scene mostly. And that's in the mountains somewhere, kind of up in the mountains, far from anything else.
Kind of a remote place.
Exactly.
And do you detect any anomalies or anything that you're looking for there?
No, everything seems to be fine. just like on the yellow planet the first time.
Mm-hmm. And what happens next?
I'm back on the ship, seeing the gray, but it seems to kind of repeat itself in the sense that I've been there, I've done that before. There's nothing new I can detect.
And does he receive that information from you?
Indeed.
Any changes to the ship or to him or the surroundings or how he responds to you?
Seems to be the same place as before. Nothing new. But at this time I also see some other beings similar to myself.
Tell me about them.
They're like air bubbles, except that it's not of air, like energy bubbles. A bit sloppy in shape.
Uh-huh.
Not sort of vibrating, but also like blobbing.
Mm-hmm. Like the change of shape?
Yeah, sort of similar in size, but not exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
And they all communicate back to the gray one.
Okay. And do you get a sense of what they're communicating?
It seems it's the same kind of information, but just from other parts of the universe.
Mm-hmm. Has anybody else detected anomalies?
No, not as far as I can see.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like there are not too many of them, only a handful. After the communication has taken place, they head off again in different directions.
Does any information from them come to you?
No, I don't sense any communication between us.
Mm-hmm.
I only sense that I was glad to see them.
Uh-huh. And how did you sense that?
I don't know. It was sort of great, or I was happy to recognize the beings similar to myself,
Mm-hmm.
which is not the sensation I get from communicating with the gray one.
Mm-hmm. He's something different.
Yeah, so that's why it felt good.
Something known, someone known to you.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens next?
I see that there's another gathering with sort of the light beings. Maybe it's the same council that I mentioned before.
Uh-huh.
And they sort of address me with the question if I want to continue with the work, or would I be rather doing something else. So it's in a way personal, addressing.
Mm-hmm. And how do you feel being addressed by them and being asked this important question?
It feels that there's a lot of they're appreciating what I've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
and seem to be happy with it. And that's why I've been given a choice to do something else if I want to.
And what do you choose?
I feel like I would be willing to move on. And it seems like since I was assigned the new planet, I felt some stronger connection to it. And I would be willing to explore it further. So that's what I'm asking for.
And how do you ask them?
I don't know, it's kind of telepathic. It almost feels like I can show the pictures from what I saw, and then it's kind of a decision that I can take myself, that I want to be there.
Mm-hmm. And what happens now that you've told them that this is your decision?
My sense is that it can't be executed right away, that I need to take a break in between.
Mm-hmm.
It's some sort of like recharging.
And how do you do that recharging? What do you see around you?
I see it's a special place. It's like a light world.
Tell me about
It consists of light, like northern lights.
Like an aurora borealis, all these
yeah,
colors? Okay.
But not of different colors. I see white, I see purple, and different hues of purple. And it's kind of very elaborate, sort of a network of lights. And they're all around us.
And how are they interacting with you, are they?
I think there are some light beings in there as well. And they welcome you. And they sort of welcome you open-armed. And they sort of, you feel like home. You don't feel like you have to do anything at this stage.
Uh-huh.
You can just relax.
And how do you relax there in this place?
It seems like you can mingle with other light beings, and it feels good. So I don't think that I have the same body that I had before.
Root yourself in this body. What does it feel like? Look at it. Sense it.
It's not really a body. I feel like I'm one of those light beings. It's almost like I don't know. It's like if you had a person, but you stripped the person of all the limbs, and you just sort of draw a circle. Not a circle, but sort of you just draw a line around the body, and that's what I see as a sort of an oval, and that's like the light body. But they move around, and they still retain that shape, and they move sort of vertically. So it's kind of the border lines are not very
Not solid.
solid, exactly. It's quite blurred, but you can clearly identify them. And it seems that there are thousands of them.
Do you recognize any of them? Do they feel known to you?
I have a feeling that there's a group that I feel particular bond to.
Tell me about them.
They are welcoming me by surrounding me as a group. It's a group of maybe 10, 12. And I feel incredibly glad to be with them.
Good.
So it feels like home. And it's sort of a warm feeling I can sense.
Good.
Yeah, so maybe that's it.
Good. Any information coming through from them or from you to them?
They seem to tell me that it's going to be temporary, and I'm going to move on to what is sort of, let's call it preparation for another assignment, the one that I chose. So it needs to be prepared for, and that is something that waits for me next.
Good. Anything else they want you to know to prepare?
No, I think they are glad to have me back with them, but there's no real communication. It's more like just being together is enough.
What happens next?
So next I see myself in school, and there are other light beings like me who have gathered to be prepared for the next mission.
Are they like you?
They are.
And what happens with them? What's happening in this school?
I think there's somebody like, maybe like a teacher, somebody who instructs us how it would feel like to be on that planet.
Do they call the planet by a name?
Yes, I can see that it's called the Earth, and all of us are going there, and there may be, I don't know, maybe a few hundred of us, maybe even more. We're being told that it feels very different from what we may have experienced before, that we will have bodies that are solid.
Have you had a solid body before?
I can't remember of having had that. So for me it sounds very exciting, and I'm a bit sad when I hear that we won't be able to move around that freely as before.
Meaning through space?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you'll be confined to the body.
Exactly.
What else do you feel?
I think the message is that this planet, the Earth, needs us because it's going through a lot of changes, and that our role is to help the planet to stay in harmony.
Do you see in what sense, as in what your mission will be?
I think the message is that there are a lot of people who may have affected the planet in a way which has done damage. And our role is to somehow, through energy work, to kind of stabilize it or bring it to further harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the mission for all of these beings there
Good.
with me.
What happens next?
We've been told that we will be born into a body, and that's what's going to be next. But I think there's still some time before it happens.
Mm-hmm. And is the teacher telling you this, or?
Yes.
Okay. And what kind of being is the teacher?
I think the teacher is like a bigger light being.
Uh-huh.
I can almost sense a human form to it, but not entirely. But now that I see it, it's also changing shape.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
It's kind of oscillating light, so it's almost like this, on an equalizer you would have this kind of lights going up and down.
Uh-huh.
It's a bit similar to actually the beings that we saw on that other planet, the council.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it seems like it's expanding and contracting at rapid speed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's bigger than the rest of the beings around.
Okay. And what kind of sensation do you get when you're told you have this in-between time? Do you get a sense for how you will spend it?
Not really. It seems that the schooling has not been completed yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it only takes as long as we are ready.
Is it different for each being, or you go as a class, as a group?
Oh, no, I think it's individual.
Okay.
Everyone goes when they are ready, or their time has come.
I see. And what happens to you next?
I see that I can choose my parents.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about them. Are you looking at different parents, or have you already chosen them?
I think I'm looking at kind of the environment into which I would want to be born.
Mm-hmm. Do you get a sense for what selection criteria you're using?
No, it seems that the major selection criteria is the region, and with that comes the kind of family that lives there.
Mm-hmm.
So my sense is that I'm getting sort of advice. So it's still my own decision, but I've been advised to be born to a family which lives in a remote area, in the mountains, in a rural area with fairly limited means.
Mm-hmm.
So I can almost see a country which would be something like Nepal or something, high in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the future parents.
What do they look like? What do you sense about them?
I sense that they are very simple people who are living in the mountains. I see very modest living conditions, and their job being like cattle herders.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems that this is the best choice for me.
Good. And so you've chosen this family?
Indeed.
Good. What happens next?
I see myself as a young boy in a, I have a job, and this is to herd the cattle. And we live in a very modest home, and besides me I see other siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents seem to be very serious people, but also very caring. Yeah, so I seem to have a very happy childhood there, but I do have to work.
Even during the childhood, you're herding the cattle?
Yeah, indeed. I have to help my dad, who does that mostly. So we go out together, but it's very bright, and I kind of like the scenery.
Mm-hmm. What happens next?
I see myself as an adult in the same area, doing the same job, but my parents have grown old. But I'm also serving the kind of village as some sort of an elder. So it seems that people come to me for advice, but these are sort of practical things that they want help with. But it also seems to be a sort of a ceremonial role. So there are some festivities where I have to be present and lead my village. But there's a lot of joy.
You're
Yes,
enjoying this incarnation.
Indeed. They seem to be very happy people.
And do you feel happy being part of that group?
Yeah, I feel very proud of it.
What happens next in that lifetime?
It seems to be very uneventful.
Go ahead and see if you can move forward to the very last day of the lifetime that you're watching. What's happening? What do you see?
I feel like I have grown old, and I seem to know that my days are done. I have gone up to the mountains with what I think are my maybe 2 sons, and it seems that I have asked them to take me up there, and I would know that this is the last time.
Good. And you won't have any physical sensations. You can talk about whatever happens next without feeling the discomfort or anything like that.
I seem to see sort of a cave where I want to lay down. I don't see myself having any illness or sickness, just being old and quite content with the life that I lived. And I give blessings to my sons, and then I float out.
Good. Well, from that position, you can look back at the entire life and see it from a different perspective. As you look back at that life, what did you learn from it?
My first lesson is that simple life can be very rewarding, but serving the community is maybe serves a higher purpose. Because by helping people in their everyday life, but also through leading, it serves a higher purpose for the entire community.
So you learned the lesson that you wanted to in that lifetime?
Yeah, I think I did. It's interesting that I didn't have to do anything particular to be useful.
Do you get a sense of what the purpose of that was?
Yeah, I think it somehow healed this area.
Meaning by you being there, physically present?
Exactly.
Good. Anything else coming through about that lifetime, why it was important?
Yeah, I think I never had been to a physical body before.
That was the first time.
Exactly.
Good.
So I feel relieved, actually, now that I'm out of it,
Relieved in what sense?
that I can fly again.
How does that feel?
Oh, that feels great.
Good.
It feels like a natural being.
That's your natural state.
Exactly.
Well, let's drift away from that life. Why did you show the scenes from today, the lifetime as this energy being that was exploring and gathering data on planets?
I think it's important for him to understand that there are different forms of being, and that he can serve the universe in many different ways.
Why did you show this lifetime and different types of service, both in a simpler life in Nepal or that area, and also in a lifetime where he had a very important mission as an energy being, where he was collecting data? How does that relate to his life today?
I think he has been curious about different forms of being. The universe is vast, and that different kinds of tasks need to be undertaken. Some of them which are very different from what one can experience on the Earth.
And why did you choose to show him that today? Is that relevant to a certain aspect of his life?
I think the experience from the Earth before was there to demonstrate that you can be helpful to the planet without necessarily even knowing it, and that you can do things sometimes without being conscious about the bigger reason for being.
And what was his bigger reason for being in those 2 lifetimes? Was there more on a subtle sense that he was doing?
If we go back to the experience from Earth, the purpose of the lifetime was to heal the Earth, and it led to this experience from a different experience, which was more monotone but not less important. And what we could see is that sometimes it takes a routine task just to make a huge difference whether a planet survives or not.
And with his mission here on Earth in this lifetime, how does that translate? Is he doing something on a subtle level that he may not be aware of?
Yes, exactly. This is quite similar to the experience from that earlier lifetime, that just being around and spreading your energy is as an important assignment that one is sent with.
And what is in his energy that either the planet or other beings, what's the interaction there?
He spreads the kind of calmness and harmonious energy which for beings around makes their life easier too, without them not necessarily recognizing this.
Mm-hmm. And in the lifetime you showed in Nepal, or in that region, he had kind of two occupations. So he was herding cattle, but he was also giving practical guidance. In this lifetime, he has questions around, he's very satisfied with his work, but he's also exploring this very spiritual side of him. Does that connect? Do those two things translate in any way?
Yes, in that previous life experience, he had jobs which were important for the community, but the real reason for being there was to heal the planet and the beings. So it demonstrated that, the job that you may have for making a living may not be always the most important thing, that just being around may be as important, if not more important.
And so he's asking about his present day life, and he said, how does somebody know if they would want to become, kind of step into a spiritual role 100% of the time and do it as their occupation? What can you tell him about that?
There's always time for things, and it may take a little to make that move, and it may be very gradual, so that you don't need to give up on what you're doing to be more spiritual. It's everything is going to happen at the right time. So everybody's given only as much as they can take at that particular time.